Oh, it's that time again. Frank, is it WrestleMania season? Because it damn sure doesn't feel like it to me.
Well, according to the calendar, March 29th.
You wouldn't know that. Oh, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, this is a great edition of Injustice, Gods Among Us. And of course, Batman and Superman are on the cover, but that's besides the point. There's a lot of injustice going on lately. Frank, what do you think?
Well, if you refer to WWE, we could talk probably all night.
Well, that's probably what we're gonna do, ladies and gentlemen. This is March 20th, 2015. Frank, we are 8 days away from WrestleMania. Explain to our viewers, Frank, at least for the two of us, why does it not feel like WrestleMania season?
Well, there really isn't. The build-up on the Raw shows has been pretty lame. You know, outside of Paul Heyman cutting 10-minute solo promos, one better than the other.
Amen.
We finally got to see Sting last week.
Which was really good, but you know, when the best part of a Monday Night Raw is a 56-year-old guy showing up to beat up a bunch of other 45-year-old guys, that's how you know that there's kind of a problem.
Well, yeah, he actually saved that show from being
a complete blunder. A complete blunder.
Yeah.
Which you would think that it's heading into WrestleMania season, they would up their game.
It's just typical of what we've seen in the last couple of years. They just feel don't hold everything back. Obviously, Raw doesn't mean as much as it used to. It's pretty much just a 3-hour infomercial to sell stuff.
You know, Frank, the last time I said that Raw was an infomercial, I got called a smart mark.
How could it not be? You get in 3 hours. You're lucky if you get 40 minutes of wrestling.
Last week we had 21 minutes, according to one of the shows I listened to. We had 21 minutes of actual wrestling on Raw.
Yeah, and half the matches are about 3-5 minutes, mean nothing, make no sense, and it's just again outside of like Paul Heyman's promos,
it's hard to sit through.
I watch the show and fast forward.
I have to say you're 100% spot on, Frank. Before we get into what both of us were doing today on social media, there's something I want to touch on, and this is something I just want to be made clear. What I perceive has been going on the last couple of years is that the fans are divided. You have, and this is how I look at it. And before I get into it, listen, if you're one of the people who likes the direction of the WWE because you genuinely just enjoy it for what it is, good for you. Good for you. We don't discourage you one bit. Frank and I, whether we agree with you or not, if you're happy that John Cena's been on top for 10 years, good for you. I'm glad you were able to enjoy it. I wish we could have. If you're happy with the build-up to WrestleMania, the way it's been, good for you. But this is the way I look at it, Frank. The fans are divided into two groups. One, the group of fans that they just accept everything because it's what WWE does, and they think that WWE knows better than the audience, and they're brainwashed into thinking that WWE knows best. I don't know how to run a business, so whatever they're doing is fine. I call them apologists. I don't know what else to call them, because this company could do no wrong. And on the other side, you have the diehard fans that don't just accept what they're fed and actually demand what they're worth. Because whether you people believe it or not, if you're a fan of wrestling, you're worth a lot. Because without the fans, and this is an undebatable point, without the fans, there is no wrestling business. Frank, what do you have to say about that?
Well, we got to make one thing clear. Nobody has knowledge of the behind the scenes except for the people there. And some of them don't even know, except for maybe 4 or 5 people. So, as the viewing fan or customer, we can only speak on what we see. And we're not getting the payoff, It's always little drips and drabs, storylines that don't make sense. Most of the guys don't get time to shine. It's only 4 or 5 people that are involved in the storyline. and people were pissed off, and they have a right to be.
But Frank, the fans should just be happy to watch the show. They shouldn't and what is with this whole, oh, if you're not happy, just don't watch it anymore.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could do that, but I mean,
what do you really accomplish by doing that, though? Nothing.
Yeah, it hurts everybody, but I think the reason why people do keep watching and complain is because the thing with wrestling is you always hope you're going to get something you want. You know, you're hoping, you're wishing, that's why you tune in every week, so hopefully something you like is going to happen. But nothing happens that you like over and over. People reach their breaking point.
And a lot of people have reached their breaking point, Frank. You know, I was debating with somebody at work, and I was trying to explain to the guy, not for nothing, but Raw in the last 10 years lost half of their audience. Right or wrong, Frank?
Yeah, but you could also contribute that to wrestling on the whole is down, you know. There's not as many fans as there was back then.
But why are there not as many fans as there were back then? I really don't think, for me, the reason I think that the viewership has gone down, the fandom has gone down, and the reason it's not pop culture anymore is because the show as a whole just became boring. It became politically correct. It became overly sanitized, which is not what wrestling is supposed to be. At least from where I sit. You know, a lot of people like to spout, things about John Cena, about how great he is, but, Frank, when he got on top, they had more viewers, and now they don't have nearly as many viewers as they did then. He couldn't even keep the viewers they had.
Well, I think it always comes down to star power. Star power, the star that people want to tune in to see, that there must be, you want to view every Monday what they're going to do, what they're going to say, when they're going to appear, and that's where WWE has lacked. That's their major Achilles heel in the last 10 years.
But you want to know what really gets on my nerves, Frank? Want to know what really gets on my nerves? When you have a guy, and I'm pointing to his autograph right now, like CM Punk, when he cut that promo in Las Vegas, the world was talking about him. Why were they talking about him after he cut that promo?
Well, he said a lot of things that were on people's minds, and it made it where you wanted to tune in again the next week to see what he was going to say again, to see what was going to happen. That's the direction that they should go in. It's must-see TV. What is he going to say next? What is he going to do? And that's where WWE is lacking.
I think that the reason that promo had such an impact was because it was all the things that the fans like us, who see through the bullshit, look at it and call it for what it is. John Cena being overly pushed, part-timers coming in and taking up the limelight, guys being held down because they don't fit a mold, and now we can transition into the guy who, in my opinion, is being robbed from his rightful spot at WrestleMania, and of course I'm talking about Daniel Bryan. I'm not going to stop on the Daniel Bryan subject until the right thing is done. I'm sorry for whoever doesn't like it. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch my show. Don't have to come on my wrestling page. You don't have to talk to me about it, period. This is a message to whoever is uncomfortable with what I have to say about the issue. Daniel Bryan's being fucked over. Do not get it twisted. He is being demoted into this Intercontinental Jobbers match. And, I had someone say to me, how could you call Dolph Ziggler a jobber? Frank, what has he done since the Survivor Series match?
Nothing.
What has Dean Ambrose done since the Shield broke up?
Nothing.
What has Luke Harper done since the Wyatts broke up?
Nothing.
What has R-Truth been doing since he cut that promo looking like Yankee Doodle?
He's been appearing lately on Raw, but nothing.
Okay, so why, and Stardust was supposed to be entering into a WrestleMania match with his brother, but that got scrapped last minute. Why is the most popular wrestler in the WWE today being put into this match, and with an Intercontinental Champion who has done nothing but lose. Why, as a fan of Daniel Bryan, knowing the history of how the Intercontinental title has been treated in the last decade, why would I want him to go after that title? Tell me, Frank, why should I want him to go after that title when that title, the WWE Championship, is available?
Well, at least he's doing something.
But wouldn't you say that that's a very sad situation, that the most popular guy in the business should have to be happy that he even has a match on the card? Because based on what I'm seeing, they had no plans for him going into WrestleMania. Absolutely.
Again, this is the whole crux of the matter is that they are making everything revolve around Roman Reigns. That's why the fans are up and at him.
But according to some people I was talking to today, Roman isn't as hated as we're claiming.
Yeah, there was an interview with Jericho where he said that people are hating on Roman Reigns, and he was getting a great positive reaction before.
He compared it to Beatlemania, which I found that to be laughable, because anyone...
He said that a couple of shows after Royal Rumble, he got a great, huge pop. It was like Beatlemania. I don't know what show that was, but every Monday night, I don't see it. I try to. I'm looking for it. I don't see it. It's always mixed reactions.
Or like it was last week, where he almost got little to no reaction. There's that initial pop for when the music hits, and then it just dies down.
Yeah, it's like mild at best.
But people are still calling it a pop, which I find that funny. Because if you want a pop, you want to hear a pop, ladies and gentlemen, you just wait till this guy comes out. That's when you hear a pop.
Yeah, well, the pop that he should be getting is when you look back at Stone Cold, when the whole arena explodes. You can barely hear the announcers. Everybody is out of their seats, going crazy. They won't quiet down for at least a few minutes until after he gets to the ring. You know, when the guy in the ring has to actually wait for the fans to calm down. Do you get that? Do you see that? Do you hear it? No.
With Roman Reigns, absolutely not. To me, I was talking to a friend of mine today, and he said Roman Reigns is so good that when he talks, they chant another guy's name. And that's sarcasm. I mean, I've never seen another guy get into the main event of WrestleMania looking to win the belt who just flat out, with all due respect to Roman Reigns, which I doubt he's listening to my show, because he's proven to me he really doesn't give a shit about the fans. He's just in this to make money. He admitted it himself, which is, considering his opponent, he's in there with the perfect person because they're both in there for the same thing. But Roman Reigns does not belong in the main event of WrestleMania. Not right now, anyways. And to me, Frank, it doesn't have anything to do with Daniel Bryan, the person. It has to do with his level of being over. Because I was talking to some guy the last couple days, and he said a wrestler being over doesn't matter. What do you have to say to that, Frank?
I would agree with that if the guy who's over...
No, this kid is saying that being over doesn't matter.
Well, I would only agree with that if the guy who is so over has very little to offer besides being over. Like, his matches aren't that good, his skills aren't that good, he can't really talk on the mic, he just has a little gimmick that people like. But Daniel Bryan can work, he does have great matches, he is, I'll say, probably above average, very good on the mic, so he has everything.
And yet he's in a jobber Intercontinental ladder match. What does that say about what the company thinks of him?
They don't care. They know. Right now, their thinking is he'll be popular regardless. We'll still make money off of him. And basically, their mindset is they're only focusing on 2 or 3 stories. Right now, you're seeing the Roman Reigns, the Triple H thing, Undertaker, Bray Wyatt, and a little side story with the Authority, with Seth Rollins and Randy Orton. And after that, it's all, who cares, nobody cares.
But I'm supposed to be happy that Daniel Bryan's in an Intercontinental title match for a belt that hasn't meant shit in 10 years. I'm supposed to be excited about that.
If they would do it right, I wouldn't mind, you know.
Because you have mentioned many times Daniel Bryan going for this title. I mean, let's hear your perspective, Frank. Let's say you were the one with the pencil, and everything is going on just as it is. What would you have happened with this Intercontinental title?
Like I was saying last year, if they had no plans for him to go all the way and win the WWE belt and be a headliner, at least they should have put the IC title on him or the US title and gave him a long run, have great matches, and where he could be, you know, in launch positions, you know, like they used to do back in the day. You know, Macho Man used to hold the belt, have great matches, and then who else? Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold, The Rock, and then when these guys lose the belt, they're ready to go to the next level. It's anticipated.
But the problem is he's already been to that level. I just feel like he's going backwards, and that worries me because the guy's more over than anyone else in the company. I feel like they're squandering how over he is. I mean, Frank, now it's 5 sports teams that dig him. 5. The Phoenix.
This guy he's not mainstream. It's not like he's over. It's like I said. Time will tell. I said this 2 years ago. Time will tell. Is the S chat just a fad, a trend, something cool? Is this yes movement just something to get behind? It's almost 2 years now. It's not going away.
You still have people saying that he's not over. Only the chant is. Only people care about the chant. Still.
No, I mean the chant is the chant now has gotten a life of its own. You know. It's got a life of its own.
And the funny thing is, when Roman Reigns was talking on Monday, what were the fans chanting?
Yeah, they were chanting Daniel Bryan.
I mean, and what really aggravates me also, Frank, is that the fans are being blamed for this problem. Are the fans to... You tell the truth. You be honest with me. You shoot straight. Are the fans to blame for this problem with Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan? Are they to blame?
How can you blame the fans if it's like... bullying a hero and cheering a heel. What's going to happen if a hero constantly gets cheered? He's going to turn face, right?
Yeah. That's logically what you would do.
Usually gets booed. He's going to turn heel.
Unless you're unless you're John Cena.
Right. I mean, so if I don't know if the Stone Cold kept getting cheered, do you still keep him as a heel?
Nope.
Well, you blame the fans for that, right? Because he's not going as a heel. You don't do that. You just go and turn him face and give the fans what they want. I mean, it's so clear in my mind.
This should be easy, Frank. The Royal Rumble should have been the easiest fucking decision of their lives. Okay. Roman Reigns has cooled off since he came back from his injury, since he came back from the hernia. This Daniel Bryan is still more over than everybody else. I mean, just to give an example, when he showed up at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, he wasn't even on the card. He was on the pre-show, and he got a bigger pop than anybody else.
Yeah.
That should have been like... That right there should have told them, okay, we got our guy. The night he came back and announced his entry into the Royal Rumble, he had the crowd in the palm of his fucking hand. He was like a fucking magician in there.
Right.
He had the crowd in the palm of his hand, and he could have made them go left or right anytime he chose. It just boggles my mind, Frank, what they've done.
Let me say one thing. Late last year, after SummerSlam, when both Reigns and Daniel Bryan were now out, who was the guy that was getting over more than anybody?
Dean Ambrose.
Yeah. This guy was taking the world by storm.
Yes, he was.
His merchandise was selling. His whole
he outsold Cena. He outsold Cena with his hoodie.
Yeah. He had that, him and Seth Rollins had that great match in Hell in a Cell. And for Hell in a Cell these days, they did some crazy stuff.
And let me tell you something. That was one of the better Hell in a Cell matches I've seen since the end of an era match with Hunter and and The Undertaker.
What do I always say whenever Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose and The Shield are in matches? This is awesome. This is awesome. This is
absolutely, awesome. Absolutely. And you know,
every match they have where they're allowed to do a little something, it's always, you always get that. This is awesome, Chet. Do you get that with everybody on the card? No.
No, not at all. I mean,
let me just say one other thing. We talked about this before. The other major mistake that WWE made was bringing Bryan back before the Rumble. If they had no plans for him,
why they bring him back? Other than because they know he's a draw. Dumbasses who say he isn't a draw. Why else would they bring him back?
Again, because they know he's popular regardless.
Fucking really?
So they're gonna exploit him, so they can announce him, advertise him for the Royal Rumble. So in hopes of getting more network subscriptions.
But Frank, he's not a draw.
But he is. He's just not gonna. You know,
it really pisses me off. It really pisses me off, not just as a fan of Bryan, but as a fan of the business. Because as a fan of the business, it's common fucking knowledge. If a guy is more over than everybody else, he does not belong in the middle of the card. I'm sorry. And for me, it's not even about the belt anymore, Frank. Why is this guy not in a marquee match?
Because they just don't have any plans for him. Now again, you could look at it from the other point of view and say, well, you're talking about there's no new stars. How are we supposed to create new stars if, you know, we don't make new stars? You know, Daniel Bryan is already a star, so we're trying to make Roman Reigns a star. But it's just the way they book it. I say keep Daniel Bryan out of the Royal Rumble. He could have still did his Intercontinental match. Let's say Roman Reigns wins. Now you have Bryan having great matches all summer, all spring, all summer. Now you have a belt where, hey, when he loses, he could go and say, hey, I never lost the title. I'm going to challenge Roman Reigns.
They could have went down that route. There were so many different ways they could have went down the route. But basically, you tell me if I'm wrong. The Royal Rumble, to me, felt like the WWE was telling the audience, go fuck yourselves.
Right. But I'm saying, you understand? By just a simple thing of not putting him in the Royal Rumble, people would have been okay with that. They say, hey, he's hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that he was coming back until he announced that he actually was coming back. I didn't know he was ready. His injury was something that was kept very quiet, which made me.
I'm sorry. He was out of sight. You know, and out of mind, the people are comfortable, like, whenever he comes back, he'll come back. He is going to come back.
And the funny thing is, Frank, he was gone for months, but the second he was back in action, it was like he never missed a beat, and the crowd was ready to embrace him. When's the last time somebody was injured, a top star that was injured, and didn't lose his popularity at all? Austin.
Stone Cold.
Thank you. And people...
Let's forgo this. While Bryan was injured, how many times did he really appear? Maybe once, twice? Right?
Yeah.
When Roman Reigns got injured for 3 months.
You heard it. You got updates almost every other week.
Oh, you know why?
Because they were already grooming him to be the Golden Boy.
And God forbid people forget about him.
No, but they didn't give a shit. But they didn't give a shit if the fans forgot about Daniel Bryan, right?
No, they don't, because they know Daniel Bryan won't be forgotten. They're scared and they're insecure that Roman Reigns will be forgotten and he will lose his steam.
But if they're so insecure, why are they thrusting this guy into the main event and risking...
Exactly.
And risking... See, they've done more to hurt Reigns than they have to help him. That's the thing. They did not help this fucking guy. If they wanted to get him over, they have to... See, wrestling is so fucking easy to book. You want a guy to get popular... You put him in the ring with someone the crowd hates. What is so... I mean, listen...
There's another asinine comment by Chris Jericho. Last year, when at the 2014 Rumble, when it was Batista and Roman Reigns, everybody wanted Roman Reigns to win. Well, I think if anybody was, you could have put X in there against Batista,
and they would have got cheered because they wanted Bryan and not Batista. See, and this is where I could, and this is where I can say this. This is where I can say this. Chris Jericho, and you ignored my tweet earlier tonight. The fans didn't want Roman Reigns last year at the Royal Rumble, my friend. They wanted Daniel Bryan. I hate to break it to you, Mr. Rockstar, that I haven't bought any of your CDs in years because your music just flat out sucks. And you haven't done anything meaningful in the wrestling business in years except come back and do jobs, which is something he is supposed to do. He is a legend. He's supposed to do jobs because, you know, he has to do the things that John Cena won't do. But he'll defend the company for putting a guy in the ring at WrestleMania with Brock Lesnar when it's clear as crystal that he ain't fucking ready. And yes, you can tell when a guy's ready because the people are behind him. That's how you can tell a guy is ready. When Goldberg got his spot, he was ready. I don't care what anyone says. As much as I love guys that are good in the ring, you know, as far as in-ring workers, was Goldberg the best in-ring worker? Absolutely not. But the fact of the matter is, in WCW, after Sting, he was the most over guy they had, and that's why he was ready.
Let me tell you, maybe he might have been the most over guy in wrestling, period.
You could make that argument. You could make the argument.
Certain months ahead of Stone Cold.
You can make the argument that Bill Goldberg was the most popular guy in the history of wrestling. You can make that argument. That argument can be made.
The whole ring was chanting his name when he wasn't even on.
No, and the funny thing is, the only other guy I can think of that they chanted his name when he wasn't even wrestling in a match, Austin, Goldberg, and Daniel Bryan. That's it. And Hogan. I have to say they would chant Hogan's name if they wanted to see him. But if that's pretty damn good company for Bryan to keep. Austin, Hogan, and Goldberg. I mean, Frank.
One of the most over guys in history.
To me, Bryan's going to go down in history as one of the most popular guys that wrestling's ever seen. And it was organic. It wasn't manufactured in an office. It wasn't written on some piece of paper by some stupid writer. It wasn't a product of Vince McMahon, and that is why Daniel Bryan will never be the face of WWE, for the simple fact that Vince McMahon and the McMahon family did not make him. The fans made him. But that's exactly my point. Stone Cold Steve Austin became Stone Cold Steve Austin, the babyface, for the simple fact that the fans were so behind him. I mean, let me ask you something. Some people like to say, oh, the fans should just shut up and do what WWE wants. Okay, if the fans did that, The Rock would have never become The Rock. He would have stayed Rocky Maivia. Stone Cold would have never been switched babyface, and Hogan would have never formed the NWO. Don't you think that those are three important things to happen in wrestling history, Frank?
Of course.
And they were all based morons, and I could call you morons because that's what yous are. All of those things happened because the fans demanded it. It wasn't because the two companies, WWE and WCW, wanted them to happen. They went that way because that's what the fucking fans wanted. You idiots. That is how you make history in wrestling. You listen, you clean your ears out. Here's some fucking Q-tips. I had them there on purpose because it's obvious WWE needs some fucking Q-tips. Listen to your audience, dummies. I mean, I don't understand. You know, it feels like to me, Frank? It's like, okay, Donald Trump walking outside with a perfectly wonderful good pair of shoes, stepping in dog shit on purpose. Because he knows he can buy another pair of shoes. To me, that's wasting a perfectly good pair of shoes. Is that a good analogy?
Yeah, and also, I mean, another analogy, before we talked about it, if you go into a store, let's say like an electronics store,
yeah,
and you're looking to buy a computer, and the salesman comes over to you and he says, hey, this is the really good computer. You should get on this computer right now. Without a doubt, this is the best computer. I'm telling you, it's the best computer. And you look at it and go, yeah, it's pretty nice. But you know what? I think I might be interested in the other computers. You know, I think the other computers are nicer. Well, you know, those computers are nice, but no, pay attention. This computer, look at this computer. It's got this, it's got that, it's got that.
In other words, they don't want the customers making their own decisions.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It is nice, sure. But you know what? I think I really want to buy that computer. Well, oh, you know what? Actually, that computer's not even. We don't even have that computer on stock. It's actually on the display. So actually, you just buy this here. You want me to write the slip up right now? Here. Buy this computer. Buy this computer. Now, how would you feel if you were a customer in that store? How would you react towards that?
That would piss me off, and it would feel like my
Yeah.
intelligence is being insulted.
Yeah. And he tells you, oh, you know what? You only like that other computer because other people I'm telling you, this is the better computer. I want you to buy this computer.
That's basically what it is,
computer.
Frank. That's basically what it is. But ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the first segment, and Frank and I will be back with our second segment in just a bit.